So we have to see for ourselves that what makes us guilty for small things is our own ego reacting against us and wants us to reconcile with what mistakes we have committed. Like some people feel guilty because they have said something they should not have said, or maybe because they have done something which they should not have done normally. May not be on a Sahaja Yoga basis, maybe something else also, very frivolous, like somebody spills, say, coffee, they feel guilty. Or somebody puts the knife on the other side, on the left-hand side, then they feel guilty. I mean, such stupid things like that, which are regarded as norms in the society, and people start thinking that these norms are very, very important, as if they are something like a dharma, and you must maintain those norms. But these norms are man-made. Most of them are man-made. See, some of them are so stupid and so horrifying that I think in England I feel there are some which must be really completely squashed and finished, like shaking hands. It's a very bad thing, I think, is to do, is to shake hands with everyone. Because God knows what kinds of hands people are having, what kinds of vibrations they have. Now, when my husband has his reception, sometimes I have to shake hands with 700 people coming in, and then 700 drunkards going out. So, this shaking of hands, I think, is a very, very bad habit. It's all right for Sahaja Yogis to shake hands, but for others, to shake anybody's hand is better to do namaste, though it might be some very simple Indian method. But I think the best way is to say namaste, because shaking hands can cause lots of problems to human beings. And now with all these diseases coming up and all that, I think one has to be very careful about shaking hands. Worse than that is in France, I find, is like when you meet someone, you must kiss, you see. The worst habit, I tell you, horrible. But they do kiss you all the time. If you go there, I had very bad shocks to begin with. You see, anybody would just get you, kiss you here, kiss you there, and start looking at the person. Now with the fear of AIDS and all that, perhaps they might stop all that nonsense. But there is no need to do all this. It's not a very good way of wishing anyone. It doesn't show any respect in both the cases. When you shake hands also there's no respect, and even when you kiss somebody there is no respect. But if you say namaste means I bow to you, namaste. It's I bow to you, it's respect. And this is one thing we have to do, is to respect each other. But when we are not, then we feel guilty. And like that, you see, these all like thank you. If you have not said thank you to somebody, then we think we have done a big mistake. I mean, the amount of thank yous we do, get so much used to it that even if you see a statue, say thank you very much for your darshan. It goes on like that, you see, it's a bit too much. Too much thank you becomes a lip service or sorry. Nowadays, in our times, we used to say, I beg your pardon on the phone, but now people say, sorry, sorry, sorry. I mean, sorry for what? Just can't, that sorry goes into Left Vishuddhi. If you don't hear, it's none of your fault. Maybe the fault of the telephone, maybe the fault of another person. So, without understanding what is there to be sorry, just go on saying sorry, 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 feeling sorry for something is absolutely boring. And such a person can become extremely boring. Since morning till evening he is saying, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry for this, and all the time feeling sorry for everything, you feel sorry for that person. So one has to be in a joyful mood. And doesn't matter if somebody doesn't say sorry, it doesn't matter. But some people can take a very big objection if you don't say thank you to them. It's a very funny thing is that I have experienced in England once. I was going out and John was there, John was driving the car, and my daughter was coming out of the house, so He left the door open and he just, as soon as she sat down, hardly took about 5-6 seconds. He closed the door and went round. But he didn't say thank you to the fellow who was standing behind. You see, they are supposed to be all very rich, cultured, educated people. So this fellow got out of his car and caught hold of his belt. And he wouldn't allow the car to move. When the car was moving, I couldn't understand what was happening. So I asked Johnny, stop the car, stop the car. I said, what's the matter? She didn't say thank you to me. This fellow would have been killed or something would have happened to him. It doesn't matter. He should say thank you. These are the funny norms that we have, so many of them, and sometimes we miss the point. Sometimes we miss the point because the whole thing becomes so mechanical. It is not mechanical if you say thank you. It's a way of just even expression, your smile, your just a gesture can say that you are thankful to people for what they have done. But it is a norm which is created since long, They have dropped out so many things, like they have dropped out their tailcoats, everything. And I think too much thanking and too much feeling sorry should be dropped out. Either you go to the left or to the right. So the best thing now is, if somebody does something for you, all right, just a smile. Sometimes say thank you, all right. But not all the time teaching us, did you say thank you? Like one child told me, I don't want to go to their house. I said, why? Because I have to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all the time. So children also somehow or other find it's very artificial. It becomes a lip service. And this lip service can go anywhere, and people start feeling very sorry for things like, I didn't send a Christmas card, so they feel sorry. Christmas card is not important. We must see why we have to send a Christmas card. Is to wish this person. Do you have that in your heart? Did you feel that from your heart? Once you start feeling from your heart, then you will never catch your left Vishuddhi. It's a very superficial way of avoiding the mistakes you have made. Now supposing I have not done something which I should have done. Sometimes it happens. And I feel it in my heart, Just feel it. I should have done it. And if I have not done it, then it gets corrected. Not only that, but for a Sahaja Yogi, it works. So to feel it in your heart, otherwise whatever is superficial, you shouldn't worry. You shouldn't worry, you are all yogis. You must know you are all saints now. So you don't have to worry about small things. Even if you slap someone is all right. If it is necessary, you can slap people. There were yogis who used to throw stones at others just to save themselves from their boredom, from their aggression. So it's all right. You are all saints. So saints can do that way. I read a very nice story about a king who was a monk. He had to become a king. He didn't want to be a monk. He didn't want to be a king because he said, I am a saintly person, I don't want. He was a saint, but he was made, he was forced to become because there was no one, everybody was very happy, and he gave all permission to do whatever they liked. But the grandees of that place, all the people who were holding the courts and all that became very powerful because he was a very mild person and very kindly person, and they exploited all the villagers and they exploited all the poor people and all the farmers and everybody, took away all their things and they looted them, tortured them and troubled their women and did all kinds of monstrous things to his subject. But then he was told about it. Then he thought that now I am sitting as a king here, and though I am a saint, as a saint I have a duty to perform. So he made a very nice plot. He got very good people, handful of people who were very, very close to him and on whom he can depend. And he called all these grandees for a court and told them not to bring any weapons on them, and then cut everybody's neck there. Everybody's. He was a saint, though he cut everybody's neck. Because these people were horrid. To punish them was his job, and he did it without feeling guilty, without catching on the left Vishuddhi. So whatever has to be done, has to be done. There's nothing to be sorry about. You don't have to be sorry at all. But whatever you feel, and if it is not expressed, that feeling properly, then you have to feel it in your heart so that it acts and works. This is, of course, for Left Vishuddhi. But one thing we have to ask ourselves, how do we get rid of our left Vishuddhi? And when you start asking this question, why have I got left Vishuddhi? It is the surplus of your ego, as I have told. So try to watch what you have done. Try to see what you have said. Why did you do it? And then face it. And next time don't do it. So you won't have the guilt. Because guilt is nothing but a stored up mistakes. And like going to a priest and saying, I'm sorry, I did this, I did that. And again doing the same thing. It amounts to the same. Because then you don't correct yourself. I think open the windows will be better. This one. I'll make it quite warm for you. Thank you. I am also English, I must say thank you. So this amounts to one thing, to understand what mistakes you have committed, what your ego wants to feel bad about it, and then do not store it up, face it up and never do it again. Just be determined, I will not do it again, that's all. You have to just say, I will not do it again, whatever it is. Face up to it and say that I will not do it again. That's the best way you can manage your left Vishuddhi.